Today, we're going to completely flip the script on what it actually means to be quiet online. We are exploring the psychology of the lurker, and we're looking at why choosing privacy over performance isn't just okay, it's actually a super sophisticated psychological superpower. If you've been posting less lately, you might kind of feel like you're becoming antisocial or losing touch. But we're going to destigmatize that digital silence right now and show you why you are actually way ahead of the curve.
All right, let me ask you this, and I want you to be totally honest with me. Have you ever been on an amazing trip or sitting at a truly beautiful dinner, and suddenly you find yourself trapped in this weird 10-minute battle with a caption, right? You have this gorgeous, real-life moment happening literally right in front of you, but instead of just enjoying it, you're sweating over finding the exact right filter and the perfect witty words to show everyone else exactly how much fun you're having.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the endless caption battle. Looking at living versus packaging.
The reality is, by the time you finally figure out that perfect wording and actually hit that share button, the moment you were so desperately trying to capture, it's basically over. The food's gotten cold, the sunset has completely faded, or the conversation has just moved on without you. And why does this happen? Well, it's because you're trying to do two highly demanding things at the exact same time. You're living the experience and simultaneously packaging it for an audience. These two actions are actively competing for your brain's attention. It's like a massive neurological tug of war. If you've started to feel this heavy, exhausting hesitation every single time you open an app to post, this right here is exactly why. You're just exhausted from packaging your life. Which brings us nicely to Section 2, the performance economy, where social media essentially becomes a stage. The immense pressure of constant sharing has essentially tied our self-worth to a digital validation machine. We've taken our normal everyday lives and turned them into content that constantly needs to be consumed and rated by other people. There's this famous sociologist, Erving Goffman, who talked about how we all wear different masks in daily life to control how other people see us. And this brilliantly illustrates what happened next. Social media took those fragile masks and put them on a stage with a billion-person audience. In this digital performance economy, one bad caption or one awkward photo isn't just a fleeting moment anymore. It feels incredibly permanent. It just sits out there, searchable and totally open to judgment for years to come. And when you combine that immense pressure to perform with the very real fear of being judged, something inside of you eventually breaks. Just think about what happens when you're constantly comparing your totally normal, maybe slightly mundane, Tuesday afternoon reality to everyone else's highly curated, heavily filtered highlight reel. I mean, it's incredibly draining. This constant, unequal comparison acts like a slow-acting poison for your self-esteem, basically tricking you into feeling like your regular life just is enough. But there is a genuinely empowering solution to all of this. Section 3, the rise of the lurker, as a highly sophisticated defense. Look, if you've stopped sharing your life online, you are not hiding, and you certainly aren't antisocial. You've actually figured out something crucial that a massive chunk of the world is still struggling to learn. Get this. Take a look at this number, 30 to 40%. That's the percentage of users who have actively stepped back from posting and become what researchers call lurkers. If you have chosen to quietly watch life instead of broadcasting it, let me tell you, you are far from alone. This behavior is incredibly common, and it represents a huge shift in how we're choosing to interact with these platforms. Now, let's redefine that term a bit, because lurker can sound, well, a little bit creepy. In reality, a silent spectator is simply a user who prioritizes privacy over performance as a form of psychological self-protection. Your brain is actively protecting your sense of control. By choosing not to post, you're boldly stating that your confidence doesn't need to be validated by 200 random people you haven't spoken to since high school. You're keeping your peace entirely for yourself. And that is a power move. And when you make that deliberate choice, something amazing happens. Section 4, reclaiming your authorship and the profound shift in consciousness. Once you finally abandon that exhausting performance economy, this deeply liberating psychological shift takes place. You suddenly free up an immense amount of mental energy that you used to waste on seeking approval. You move from public self-consciousness, which is that constant nagging anxiety of asking, okay, how is this going to look to other people, to private self-consciousness, which simply asks, how does this actually feel to me? Silent spectators gladly trade the anxiety of public perception for the quiet, expansive mental space of actual self-reflection.
So the crucial point is this concept of authorship. Authorship is the profound feeling that your life belongs strictly to you, and it genuinely counts even if absolutely nobody else sees it or claps for it in the comment section. The absolute truth that silent spectators have unlocked is this: the less you need to prove your life online, the more real your life actually feels to you on a daily basis. Now, we do have to be realistic about the trade-offs here. Section 5, the ultimate social filter, examining quality over quantity. There is absolutely a social cost when you stop posting. Because you aren't constantly popping up in people's feeds anymore, you obviously become much harder to track. And naturally, some of those low-effort, surface-level friendships are gonna quietly dissolve. But honestly, disappearing acts as a highly useful automatic filtering service for your life. The people who genuinely care about you do not need an algorithm or a status update to remember you exist. They're still gonna text you, they will still call you, they will still make plans. The silence basically effortlessly weeds out the audience and leaves you with your actual friends. An incredibly credible science actually backs up why this filtering is so good for us. The famous Harvard study on adult development spent decades, literally decades, researching what makes a good life, and they definitively found that the depth of your relationships is the single strongest predictor of long-term happiness. Notice they didn't say the quantity of your connections, but the depth. Filtering out those weak digital ties so you can focus on the deep ones is profoundly beneficial for your long-term well-being. It really comes down to a very simple, confident truth. 10 real, meaningful conversations will always beat 1,000 superficial likes on a screen. Real connection actually nourishes you, passive engagement just distracts you. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final section. Section 6, privacy as power and reclaiming the present. Choosing to step back into silence isn't some sort of retreat. It's a very active, incredibly powerful step forward into the actual moment you're living in. Because fundamentally, experiences get worse when you perform them. That beautiful sunset loses its magic, and that deep conversation loses its intimacy the absolute second you start mentally writing a clever caption for it. When you finally stop performing, you are fully present in the light where cameras simply cannot reach. To summarize the core thesis of this entire explainer, opting out of the show isn't antisocial. It is the ultimate form of self-respect. Your life does not need an audience to be a masterpiece. Digital silence is a powerful, deliberate choice to basically take back your mind, your time, and the authorship of your own story. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought as we wrap up today. Take a look closely at your own digital habits. When you finally put the phone down, when you step off the stage and you stop sharing, does the silence feel like a loss to you? Or does it finally feel like oxygen? Take some time to explore your own quiet baseline. You might just find that choosing not to post is literally the most liberating decision you can make. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this topic today. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.